Uh, Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this course of history of Indian literature. Uh, More specifically, I should call this course a history of or introduction, brief introduction to Sanskrit literature. I should say that because in this course we will focus mainly on the history and development of Sanskrit literature in India. And this India basically refers to not only the what we understand as India today, but actually as a uh, geographical and cultural concept of what we understand as India. That means the what India is referred to here is a much larger geographical unit compared in comparison to the modern Republic of India. At this point, I hope everybody should remember. Okay, so the main textbook or the very huge textbook we will use in this course is this one. The English translation of a famous Indologist, Maurice Winternitz. We should use his book as our textbook. I see. There's a special news. What's wrong? Maybe I just delete. I'll delete it later. If any one of you are good at reading German, I strongly recommend you to read the original German one. That will be much more accurate. Okay, then let's start. This book actually has 3 volumes. So the first volume mainly deals with the introduction, the Veda, and the 2 epics, Mahabharata and Ramayana, and also some later literature correlating with these themes, such as Puranas and Tantras, uh, everything like that. That means the dates of these literatures are mainly before somehow 8th century or 9th century, mainly before that. Okay. Okay, then we shall enter our main part. Before we really enter the main body, I hope everyone can have a look at its content. Since the original book was written in German, so here we can see there is a preface to the German edition. These two are very different, so if you have time, you can have a quick look on the difference between them. So today, if we have enough time, we will mainly go through the introduction part, about 50 pages. I think that's really enough for today's task. Okay, now let's start. Maybe we shall jump directly to the main part. Okay, introduction here. So basically, we should first know about some very simple point on the condition of India. So first paragraph will be the introduction to a very rough idea. If you have no idea about what India is, then you can have a look of this part. I will not read everything of this, but I hope you to have to be noticed some very important and key point mentioned by our author. For example, the very important geographical point, such as Hindu Kush. That's a very long, somehow a very huge and sharp mountain in northwestern of Pakistan. And this Cape Comorin is the southern tip of the South Asia subcontinent, near the Sri Lanka. Okay, that's the basic, some very nouns maybe everybody will be or will not be familiar with. But I hope during our progress in this course, I hope everybody can be much more familiar with these concepts and terms. Okay, then let's see what the next. Okay, let's see here. As regards its contents, okay, so he is talking about the content of what Indian literature means and what it consists of. So Indian literature embraces everything which the word literature comprises in its widest sense. So religious and secular, epic, lyric, dramatic, and didactic poetry, as well as narrative and scientific prose. And in the foreground stand the religious literature, not only the Brahmins in their Vedas and the Buddhists in their Tipitaka, but also many others of the numerous religious sects which have sprung up in India can produce an enormous number of literary work. Hymns, sacrificial songs, incantation, myths, legends, sermons, theological treatises, polemical writings, manuals of instruction or on ritual and religious disciples. Actually, it is quite abundant. The results of Indian literature are transmitted to us, to modern scholars, is very abundant. And unfortunately, it's not possible for a single scholar to reach the end of any one sect of this literature. It seems very impossible. At least for us, it's true. And next, we will see many somehow well-known terms or names that I may have introduced in our elementary Sanskrit courses and in the intermediate Sanskrit courses, such as the very famous national epics, Mahabharata and Ramayana. And actually, I want to say something about these two. We know that although it can be said to be the national, one of the national symbols of India, but actually, concerning these two epics, there's a lot of later compositions dealing with a very specific topics mentioned in these huge epics, such as some kind of drama and poetries, even the so-called the dancing treatise, some kind of Natya Shastra, Natya Sutra, something like that. All deals with the topics mentioned in the two epics. And we also need to be we also need to notice that here Winternis he says something. But while these poems, he refers to the later compositions, on account of their exaggerated artificiality, which often exceeds all bounds, do not by any means always suit our Western taste. Indian poets have bequeathed to us lyrical and dramatic works which bear comparison for delicacy and intensity for feeling, and partly also for dramatic creative power, with the most beautiful productions of modern European literature. So from the viewpoint of a Western scholars, we should be very careful about Winternit's way of expressing things. He is standing on the standpoint of being a German scholar. And in that very period, Europe is it can be said the center of the world. So he might have some specifically viewpoint from a upper class to those undeveloped countries. But that's what we should say. It's not his fault. It's the fault of that era. It's not his fault. We cannot say that because he is not dealing with the material fairly, because he might have thought Indians to be lower than Germans. Then we should not use his books as our text. It's not true. We can't do this thing. The academic research is not should exclude most of the political ideas. At this point, I hope everybody to remember. Okay, then let's continue. In one department of literature, that of the aphorism, so-called the gnomic poetry, a kind of poetry used to teach people to be good person, like that, and teach people not to behave badly or evilly. The Indians have attained a mastery which has never been gained by any other country, nation. India is also the land of the fairy tale and the fable. The Indian collection of fairy tales, fables, and prose narratives have played no significant part in the history of world literature. Actually, we have to admit that in ancient India is really a cultural highland, because it has the result of its brilliant culture has been introduced to almost all neighboring countries, such as what we know as today's Inner Asia, or so-called we know the middle part of the Silk Road, the inner Asia, once a very brilliant place for the many different religions, such as Buddhism and other things, and also to China, to Southeast Asia, to Korea, to Japan, even to the Western world. So that's the very great power of ancient Indian literature. Very famous, very powerful, and has affected almost everything in our life. Okay, then let's go to the next part. Here, he also mentions some part of what the achievement of ancient Indians. So therefore, we find in India not only an abundant and partly ancient literature on politics and economics, medicine, astrology and astronomy, arithmetic and geometry, but also music, singing, dancing, and dramatic art, magic and divination, and even erotics, are arranged in scientific systems and treated in special manuals of instructions. That's actually one very unique how can we say, unique points that if you learn much more deeper into Indian history and Sanskrit literature, you will find that these are the thing Winternitz has mentioned is quite true. Yes, it's quite true. We always have very basic introductive manuals written in Sanskrit, which is used for the purpose of teaching very young students, to teach them the very basic concepts. And later, when the students grow up, they have to use much more difficult textbooks to learn deeper. It's almost the same as we did in modern education. Yeah. Okay, then let's continue. And one point that during the when we read Indian literature, one point that we should be aware of is that the edition we are reading today is originally composed on many different kind of materials, such as on paper, on birch bark, 白桦树皮, birch bark, and even in some kind of patra leaves, 贝叶, patra leaves. As far as I know, these three are the very fundamental and the basic writing materials preserved for the preservation of ancient Indian literature. And what's the relation between these two, between the modern edition and these writing materials? Because even the latest modern edition of ancient Indian texts can be originally found on these very old Indian manuscripts. Okay, I've seen somebody raising her hand. 有什么问题吗？这个，喂，你可以开麦克风。这位同学，这个你有啥问题没有？Okay, somebody asked me a question. While you are talking about ancient India, may I ask to which era are you referring to? Well, it's very difficult actually. If you need a very definite answer, I will say somehow like before 7th or 8th century. I will say like that. But that's only my idea. That's only my idea. If you find any other theories of dividing ancient or old or the medieval India, then you can also follow that way. It's not a very definite answer, I have to say, but according to my understanding and according to my experience of reading Sanskrit materials and also the reading some part of the history of India like that, I will say basically it's about the division. In ancient, I will say basically, if you want to divide the era, ancient India usually refer to the period of Vedas and the Vedic literature. That means including all four Vedas or three Vedas: Rig Veda, Samaveda, and Yajurveda, and also their corresponding Brahmanas, Aranyakas, and Upanishads. The end of ancient period, I will say maybe somehow like I have no idea, but maybe around the, how can I say that? 2, 3, 4 century, like that. I don't know. That's what I understand as ancient India. But if you find any other doctrines or theories saying that's not correct, you can follow that also. Yeah. But I have to say that if you want to definitely split or divide medieval to the old or ancient one, I have to say that's around 8th or 9th century. Yeah, that's I think it's a commonly accepted idea. Okay. Is there any other questions? You can always raise your hand or just input something in the chatting box. That's okay. Okay, if no questions, let's continue our reading of the Winternitz history. Just now we have talked about the correlation between Indian manuscripts and popular or modern editions of Sanskrit texts. Yeah, because almost every modern edition of Sanskrit texts we can read today are basically the result of manuscript editing, and these manuscripts come from usually Indian, all across the India. Actually, scholars have to collect every single or possible manuscript from the home of Pandit or even from the museums or libraries, and then to decide which one is the most correct or most suitable one, and then we can read the most popular or the edition of these texts. And another thing, when we read Sanskrit texts, and this point we should notice is that Indian has a very long and developed tradition of commentaries. That means later authors or commentators intend to write commentaries to ancient texts, to former texts, because basically people living in later eras, their ability to use pure Sanskrit or even use Prakrit were decreasing. So that this time there should be somebody being very outstanding and make some very how can I say much easier make a much easier way for people to understand what the old sages are talking about. But not all commentaries have this kind of characteristics. Some kind of commentaries are even much more difficult than the original text. I've also seen such cases. Not very common, but it does exist. Okay. And in this part, actually, Winternitz is criticizing those people who advocate that there exists a kind of so-called Indo-European race. this, according to my understanding, he might be referring to some very aggressive racist program. I don't know if he really refers to Nazis or not, but at that time there did exist commentary. There does exist some kind of social propaganda against outcomers, and advocated that all these Indo-European language-speaking countries were once one race, especially those who thought that Indians, Persians, Greeks, Romans, Germanic peoples, and Slavs are of the same blood, descendants of the one and the same Indo-European primary stock. Well, I have to say, from the view of language, from linguistic view, this might be true. Or actually it is true, but it's from a linguistic view. But if you had to discuss how pure the blood modern nations have, that's a fake question, even a fake proposition. It cannot be proved, because we are so mixed with other nations that sometimes you even cannot recognize from blood. It's not possible. Okay. Then we'll have to look at some discussions given given by the Germans. Yeah, we know that Germans, especially Germany, in the last centuries, is the holy, is the sacred place for Indology studies and Buddhist studies. That's why if you want to learn Sanskrit and do research on Sanskrit, on ancient Indian, on Buddhism, you have to know German, because the many famous and significant articles, books were all written in German. And many of them do not have a English corresponding translation, so you have to read the original one yourself. For example, here we have say, yeah. Moreover, the German and the Indian character meet in many respects in a striking manner. It is not only German poets who have sound of Weltschmerz, word sorrow. Weltschmerz is also the basic idea upon which the doctrine of Buddha is built up. Yeah, the so-called, I don't know that word in English. Sympathic? I don't know how to say this karuna in English. Compassionate, yeah, like this. World compassion, like that. To be compassionate to all beings in the world. That's one of the key doctrine of Buddha. And more than one Indian poet has lamented the suffering and the woe of the world, the transitoriness and the vanity of all earthly things in words which remind us forcibly of our great poets of Weltschmerz, Nikolaus Lenau. And when Heine says, "Sweet is sleep, but death is better. Best of all is it never to be born." He expresses the same idea as those Indian philosophers who aspire to nothing more ardently than to that death after which there is no further rebirth. Actually, I think if you are no very well Sanskrit, you can even rewrite this Highness poem into Sanskrit because the idea is somehow very similar, especially the second half. Best of all is never to be born. Because we know that in India there's the concept of samsara, 轮回, yeah, samsara. One of the key idea for them is to get out of this circle of life and death and be reborn in another world, or just a manipulation, 解脱, like that. So it's not difficult for some early communicators who traveled to India and says that the Indian culture, the so-called the ancient the culture of India, is actually based on the emancipation. This word, emancipate, to set free. Actually, what we call the 解脱 in Chinese. Okay, this is what Winternitz has realized, that in some in some aspects, Indian ancient, also old old Indian scholars, what they have in their mind, especially those philosophers, have some similar ideas with the Germans. That's not a very strange things. Yeah. Okay. And the second part we should read today is the history of studies of Indian literature in Europe. That can be somehow boring, but I think some of the names mentioned in this part, they deserve us to be remembered. Let me see which one. The first person, the first very important person that deserve us to remember him is this one, William Jones. William Jones, right here. William Jones. I don't know if any of you can tell me what William Jones has did and what his main contribution to the research of Indology. Can anybody tell me? Or if you don't understand the question, I'll say it in Chinese. 有没有同学知道这个威廉琼斯他对于印度学的最大的贡献是什么？The Asiatic Society, that's one of his main contribution. Yeah, that's correct. Anybody else? Maybe I should give you the hint. Oh, I don't think I should give you any hint. I will just say it. It's except for the Asiatic Society, 亚洲协会, which is actually a very huge stock. It has a very huge stock of all kinds of manuscripts. And I was once in Calcutta visiting the Calcutta branch of the Asiatic Society, and the staffs there are were not very friendly to scholars. So I suffered from reading the original material all days, just sitting on the floor without even a chair and a desk. So that's quite painful. And except beside the Asiatic society, another thing William Jones has done is the possible connection, or I should say linguistic connection between what language? Between Sanskrit, Latin, Greek. He found that these three ancient or old languages had some astonishing similarity if we just look into the details. That can be said to be the starting point for the comparative linguistics, and this in comparative linguistics 比较语言学 and this discipline is known in German-speaking country Vergleiches, I don't know, I'm not remembering the grammatical gender very correctly, but Vergleiches what's that? Okay, I'll just delete. Comparative linguistics. Oh yes, Vergleiche Sprachenwissenschaft. I don't know if I have spelled this correct or not. But that's the form I remember. Vergleiche Sprachenwissenschaft. Corresponding comparative linguistics. So in German, there is no very simple word for this linguist, but it has also like a compound. Sprachen, the languages, Wissenschaft is knowledge. Language, vergleichende, Sprachen, okay, I've spelled it in the wrong form. Vergleichende Sprachwissenschaft. Okay, that's the word for this discipline. Okay, let's see what William Jones has did. You see that here, the Asiatic Society of Bengal, okay, that's located in nowadays Calcutta, where I have also been visited. Also other things, yes. He also did some editions of Indian texts, especially the introducing the famous drama Shakuntala to the European world. And thanks to this introduction, and thanks to his English translation of this drama, the German and the whole Europe upper world knew this thing, and soon many more translations into European languages of this drama came out after William Jones' efforts. Also, he did something to the Ritu Sanghara, 时令之环, Ritu Sanghara. Somehow a poem composed by Kalidas, also a famous and significant poet, written in composing things in Sanskrit. Okay, and also this Manu Smriti, the law of Manu. Yes, also he did some addition to that. And next person, very important person, let me see who is next. Let me see who this guy. Henry Thomas Colebrook. This guy is also very important. He is actually the successor of, I think, the successor in William Jones. Colebrook continued what William Jones has been doing. So he continued translating Sanskrit texts into English and introduced them to Europe. And also he was aware of the existence of Veda. So the most ancient so-called literature in India, most ancient thing. He also did some other translations such as Pani's grammar, Ashtadhyayi, and also editing the Indian dictionary, such as Amarakosha, and other literature such as Hitopadesha, Kiratarjuniya, and many things. Okay, and next comes our famous German poet, Friedrich Schlegel, and his brother. Okay, these two people are very also important. Yes, Schlegel, the Schlegel brothers. For example, this thing, Ideen zur Geschichte der Menschheit, the idea of the towards the history of mankind. Also Shakuntala. And then what we have is many people. Yes, Franz Pope, linguistics, research of linguistics, very important, both on the research of Sanskrit and the comparative linguistics. Pope, yes. One of his book über das Konjugationssystem der Sanskrit-Sprache in Vergleichung mit jenem der griechischen, lateinischen, persischen und germanischen Sprache. About on the conjugation system of Sanskrit language in comparison to those those of Greek, Latin, Persian, and Germanic language. So he is really doing the comparative linguistics like this, the very early but significant books. And what we have next is, let me see, William von Humboldt, Hongbao, William von Humboldt. He is also a researcher on linguistics. Later scholars, let me see what we have. Actually, he is just Winternitz is just telling us how brilliant and how long the research on Indology, on Buddhism, on Sanskrit, on comparative linguistics were in Germany in the 19th and 20th century. A very brilliant and memorable period. And next, we have a very, very, very interesting thing. We all know that Indian texts are basically introduced into European countries by the translations into English, German, French, Italian, and even sometimes Greek or Latin. But we should also be aware of the fact that in some kinds of Indian literature were firstly translated, introduced to Persian readers. For example, Upanishads. Some Upanishads were first translated into Persian, and the name of its name was also changed into Upanishad. Yeah, Upanishad into Upanishad. On this point, actually, there's some footnote here. If anybody is interested, you can have a look at that. And also, will see some very corrupted forms of some original Sanskrit words into Persian, such as transliterating Rig Veda into Regbed, and also we may see some very strange form of Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, or Atharva Veda. Yeah, that's all possible. Okay, let's see. Next, very huge, important person. This Eugène Bounot, a French Orientalist. He is also very important. Next one should be Max Müller. Yes, Max Müller. Also famous as a scholars on social studies. He had some books on discussing the ideas and his observations into Hinduism and Buddhism. That book I can recommend you to have a look at. And next, what we have, yes, this guy, Theodor Aufrecht. The most important thing he has done, Theodor Aufrecht, is the edition of Rig Veda. The edition of Rig Veda, what we use to read and translate, is basically according to Aufrecht's edition of Rig Veda. That's very detailed and well done edition, I think. The most popular thing. Okay. Actually, I think according to my presentation today to you, I hope everyone can understand that until now, we already have a lot of work done by our pioneering ancestors and German scholars, and actually, I should say that I should name them as European scholars. But the problem with that, at that time, people or the world do not have too much knowledge regarding India, so it's very convenient for them to get the original material, the primary material, and can easily get some achievements. It's not like today. Okay, next person may be important. Yeah, this one. I think most of you know this dictionary, Sanskrit Wörterbuch, or we have to say it in the abbreviation, PV, the Peterbook's dictionary, or the Peterbook Wörterbuch. This is edited by two very famous scholars, by this Otto Büttlich and Rudolf Roth, published by the Academy of Arts and Science in St. Petersburg. Yeah. This dictionary, Sanskrit German dictionary, is basically what we always refer to and most frequently used as the original reference for students. Although maybe for many of you who cannot read German, Monium Williams English Sanskrit English book dictionary is the first choice. But I have to say, in that dictionary, there's many mistakes. I mean, not it it even includes all mistakes done by Böttering and Roth, but also it adds new mistakes into the English one. So when we have to use the Monia Williams in Sanskrit English dictionary, we have to be very careful and always remember to have a look at the great paving. That's that's the thing I hope. That's the thing I hope everybody should also remember today. The next one, yes, Albrecht Weber. This is also a very great scholar, not only because of his achievement on the research of Indian pure literature. Yeah, he is a expert on Indian pure literature, or we so-called the belle belle lettres in France, the beautiful beautiful letters, that the pure literature, pure literature. Albrecht Weber is actually, I have to say, for my own study, this scholar does really did much more much pioneering work for us. Yeah, very important. And next, what do we have? Yeah, you can see actually many scholars doing this. Yes, this one. We have a catalog for the already collected Sanskrit manuscript called Catalogus Catalogorum. But now it has many new volumes published recently. So, okay. We have to see. Originally, it is called Catalogus Catalogorum, and now we have a somehow like a new catalogus. I would not say, write the rest of it, and it is usually abbreviated as NCC. It is the where we have to find our original or primary sources and find their location. And also, as Winton says, yet this catalog does not include the whole of the Buddhist literature and all the literary works which were written in other Indian languages and not in Sanskrit. And how many new works have been discovered since 1903? Yeah, that's correct. Even today, this new catalogum is being re-amended and being enlarged. So always there's new materials. And next we'll see a famous society, Pali Text Society. It all still exists in England. I mean, this this society is located in England. So the main purpose of it is to preserve and study the Pali texts. And also a lot of later scholars, such as Georg Bühler, very famous Sanskrit scholars, Bühler, and from those from Austria, England, Holland, India, America, such as Franz Kirchhorn, Wackernager, Lüders. Basically, many of them are from Europe, especially German-speaking countries and Netherlands. Okay, that's what we have done today. Basically, the part of the half of the introduction we've seen. So today's point is that I hope every one of you can remember or to just to have a very brief look into the history of Sanskrit literature. And today we just did the very beginning part. I hope every one of you can understand that in the 19th and even in the early, maybe the first 80 or 90 years of the 20th century, Germany and Austria, or even you can add the Netherlands and other European countries. These countries, especially Germany and Austria, are the center of studies of Indology and Buddhism. But today, as you all know, these traditional research on humanities and arts are in danger because of the lack of funding or government support. So if any one of you are interested in this endangered disciple, everyone from this this background, this field, will be very happy. Yeah, because there must be somebody who can carry these things and go on to do research. Yeah, that's what I think about what we researchers on Indology and the Buddhism should do in the future. Okay, and that's today's course, the introduction. Yeah. Any questions about what we have talked about today? I hope nobody will have very difficult questions, because what I have talked today is very basic and just have a brief look at the history of this field. Okay, if nobody has questions, then we'll finish today's course. And then I have to thank everybody again for attending today's first lesson of the history of Sanskrit literature. And I hope I can see you in later courses, and always be like about 30 or 40 people attending this course. This will be done about maybe every 2 weeks. I'm thinking about it. And then there will be a circulating courses. So 1 week we'll have the Chinese course for the Spires syntax, Sanskrit syntax, and the next week, I mean after the grammar course, we will have this introduction to Sanskrit literature. Yeah, and the third week I'm still not sure about what I can do, but basically will be a reading course, reading some Sanskrit or Indian philosophical materials. If any of you are interested in that, we'll deal with some not so difficult but basic paragraphs appearing in Buddhist texts and also other orthodox Hindu philosophy. And if time permits, we'll read some kind of even Jaina material, if you have interest in that. That's the present arrangement for later courses. I hope you can enjoy these. Yeah. Okay. That's all for today. So see you. If you want to continue attending my course, then we'll see next week. So next week will be a reading course. If you have confidence for yourself about reading original Sanskrit class, reading original Sanskrit texts, then you can attend. And the reading course will also be taught in English. I hope you can understand that. Okay, that's all for today. And thank you for your listening and attending the course. So everybody, bye bye. Have a good night.